Hello everyone, I'm going to record this intro with my mic unmuted this time. It is a beautiful spring day today, and so I thought the best move would be to stay indoors and record a video about my career. I've wanted to do a video about photography for a while now. Photography is just so subjective, but I'm just here to share some of the stories from some projects I've been proud to do, and hopefully that will provide some insight into my work if that's something that you enjoy. I don't remember if I said, but we're going to be talking about album art today specifically. I've done, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 album arts for literally just my brother. I have no other clients except my brother. So we're going to be starting with my first one, which is not very good. Okay, so in February of 2019, my brother released a song called 17. This is the album cover for it. I don't remember why specifically he wanted me to shoot it, because at the time it was mostly my sister, or our older sister, that shot all of his album covers and his music videos. But he had me shoot it, and he had our sister edit this. This is Christine's edit right here, and this is like miles better than anything I could have done at the time. I had like almost zero photo editing experience. It's probably miles better than what I could do now, but I won't be that hard on myself. So because I wasn't super involved in the creative process of the editing, I can't really speak as to like why they chose this like rainbow effect down here. I assume that was just the old artistic strategy of, hey, doesn't this look cool? Anyway, so all in all, very nice. I think it looks very good in the square format, and I feel like this is a very good album cover for a first, even though I had no idea what I was doing. Here's some of the outtakes here. Me and my brother came up with the general idea of, I don't even know why we came up with this idea, but we were like, let's just shoot a photo of him. This is literally in my backyard, or our backyard. And I just turned the flash on and I was like, let's do a good old flash photo. And so we have we just were messing around. We did a lot of different sorts of things. I don't remember who had the headphone idea, but I think to me that's what makes it stand out. I was literally just taking photos. I had no real vision in mind. Now when I'm doing an album cover, I have a pretty distinct vision, and then I just keep working towards refining that through the shooting and the editing process. And these were the first couple photos that we took. We just were sort of messing around, taking portraits. I don't remember exactly what the inspiration was. I mean, if I were to take a random guess, it was probably like at the time, Tobias Gesso Jr. was like a big one. This one, it's literally just a portrait here. That is his, and it's also very dim. It's a very dim and dark portrait right there. A lot of the indie guys, like let me look up Salad Days as well. We're just, I didn't actually expect I'd get Salad. Salad Days, Mac DeMarco, another classic one. I'm sure this one was also an inspiration. I just know that like at the time, the indie thing is what Kevin was going for in 2019. He was really leaning into that. I do distinctly remember that when I was composing this cover, which I'll get into composition more because that's probably like top of the list. I had a couple different ideas here of like how to compose it, but I remember once I like got really low like this, that's money right there. I should mention I didn't even actually choose this photo. I just shot a bunch of photos and gave it to Christine and Kevin. They chose this one and then they cropped it and edited it, and I think it looks really great. All in all, I think it's a great member to my portfolio. Why did you leave when I needed you the most? Next one is Only a Dream. This was in March of 2021. So this was like pandemic era photography for me. I didn't know it at the time, but looking back, I can see a lot of the photos I took were super like dark and grim and dirty, and this is just one of many. And so I was like, all right, I want something that's very hazy, very trippy. So we started out the day by taking photos like this, and these ones are edited, by the way. This is all the edited photos, but we took ones like this. As you can tell, we pretty much just started with doing super long open shutter photos. And so I would just tripod it, and then I would have him do something. In this case, you can see I just had him sit still for a couple seconds, and then I had him walk around, which you can see from his shoe over there, both his shoes. I'm remembering now, what I wanted is like a portrait of him sitting on a chair, and it's just busy around him. Like there's just this ghosting artifacts. You can't exactly see if they're like real or if they're just artifacts. Like they kind of look like faces or maybe people or figures. Like, so that's what I was trying to play around with, and it really wasn't working the way I wanted to, because this is kind of the best we could get is him sitting down like this, and then see, like, we moved the chair over here to get kind of like a weird ghost chair. Just messing around trying to figure out what looked nice. Oh, this one I remember I liked. And actually, just seeing it now, I haven't seen this photo in probably a couple years, and this is a great photo. I need to post this. And of course, what I love about this stuff is it's all in camera. Doing in camera stuff is so much fun. This is another one that we did. This one he's posted often. I also thought this one was a good contender for the cover. Again, also with my editing here, I'm not talking a whole lot about editing here, but all these photos are edited. I don't remember if I added grain. That would kind of be stupid if it's that grainy out of camera, because I'm shooting really long shutter. But what I do remember is at this time I was going crazy with the black point. Like, as you can see, like, I don't have a scope or like a histogram here, but you can see, especially in this photo, like all this back here, this is all just like at 0. Like, it's crushed so hard. And of course I've pushed the black point way up. Once I was back here in the backyard, this is actually the backyard of Kevin's former house that he was renting. And so, like, I felt like, because he lived in a pretty low income area, it was a nice and depressing backdrop for our shoot here. I don't remember what prompted me to do this, but what I ended up doing for like this photo and for the final photo was I set it down on my tripod, set my camera down on my tripod. I then released the shutter, which was probably 3 seconds long. And for the first 60 to 70% of the shutter, it would be on him, and then I would really quickly tilt it up to the sky and get some image of the sky. So if you see here, like, if you just sort of follow all of this, like, you see these lines here, that's because I really quickly had to tilt up, and there's sort of this vertical smear, which looks really nice. The funny part about this one was I thought this one was garbage when I took it. Like, I thought this one was a complete outtake because I way overexposed it. I shot on the sky for too much. I thought it was gonna look terrible, and I mean, it did. But here's the thing, I was shooting in RAW, and so I literally was just like, all right, let's see what information is here. I think the overexposure was kind of a blessing in disguise, because it crushed the digital information so much that his face and his image is like almost barely, like, you can make almost 0 detail out of his face. Kevin's main criticism for this photo right here was simply, can you dial back the fake dust a little? And I said, whoops, that is actually not fake dust. That is entirely real dust, because I was shooting at a really tiny aperture. I'll just say that at the time, this was shot on the A7 III. I shoot on the R6 now. And see, the thing is, the R6 has this little feature where if you take off the lens, holy crap, there's a shutter that prevents dust from getting in the sensor. And also, every time you take a lens off or put a lens on, or you shut the camera off even, it cleans the sensor. It uses the internal IBIS. I know that's redundant, but it uses the IBIS to shake the sensor to get rid of the dust. And the freaking Sony A7 has the capability to do that, they just don't. The product of that was that most of my photos back in those days when I was shooting with the A7 III were really dirty, and this was just one of them. And I think it's kind of funny, although if I were to go back, I probably would have not done that. Okay, send me a line. That is the next one. I can't remember when it was. Like, it was probably 2021 again. My brother again was like, I need an album cover. Specifically with this one, it was a It's not under his Sweet Milo name, it's under the name Wave District because it was a collaboration project between him and a guy. So for this one, we had a whole like pre-production meeting as to like what we were gonna shoot for before we decided to actually shoot anything. So specifically, I don't remember exactly what prompted me to do this, but I had felt like something more digital and less analog is what I would be aiming for. But I was like just throwing stuff at the wall. But I mean, I just went into Blender and found some freaking like phone 3D model and just basically took a photo of it, just took a digital photo of it. And then I messed around with the colors. And again, the black point here, like the black point is just crazy high. And then I just added some quick text. And when me and my brother saw it, we were both like, yeah, okay, we should not keep pursuing this. So I gave up on this idea, which is why this draft sucks. So then me and my brother did what we always do, which is I go to his house and we brainstorm until we can think of literally anything to do. But with this one, we went to Goodwill and we got an old rotary phone. Oh wait, no, not Goodwill. We bought this one off of like Etsy or something. The lamp is from Goodwill. We bought the phone off of the internet, and I can remember now, we had a phone call that was like a half-hour long, and it was just him and me shopping online for old phones. So again, I feel very pleased with the final product here. It's just a very nice and crisp photo, and we worked pretty hard on just getting this one photo here. So yeah, that is Send Me a Line. Good old faithful Peachy Waves. This one was also really fun because I recorded the bass on this track. We shot a lot of content like this specific week. We had an orange backdrop and a blue backdrop, and we shot hundreds of photos. It was like a whole publicity shoot. This specific album cover I'm proud of for a number of reasons. Number one being pretty much all the things I've done with my brother have been just us brainstorming and then thinking of a quirky idea and then coming up with a composition from there on. But the quirky idea in this case was, of course, what if we do pool but with fruit? I do remember something that made me think pool would be cool is, I don't know why, I was just listening to this song a lot at the time, but Golden by Cody Fry, the whole thing is in like a billiard bar, and this is just like a dope video to me. And so I just thought that was fun. So I was like, well, let's do billiards. So we went to Meyer and got peach and oranges, and the final product was again one of a lot of different outtakes, and we just did a bunch of different stuff with the one peach. In fact, I think we shot over like 4 different days with the same peach, and you can kind of see by the end of our shoot, the peach was kind of like gross and dying, and that was when we shot the final cover, was like when it was already dying. This entire era of like shooting with my brother I feel really good about. But originally we were not gonna go with this final product here, and we did have a little bit of a debate as to which one to choose, but I honestly thought that it nearly wasn't gonna get better than this. I thought this composition was just so cool looking and so intriguing, and I thought it worked so well with the song because the song was very poppy, had electronic drums and everything. It's like it was a big shift from his like, I don't want to say darker again, but just very indie rock, and this was very much indie pop, and so I was like, this needs to be brighter. Again, here on the edit, pushing that black point way up. I really did a number on the orange and on the orange and yellows to bring it way out. And, you know, you can see his hair is like almost red in this photo, but it isn't in real life. I was super obsessed at the time with really making sure that this photo was like perfect. And so specifically, like I said, I cleaned up the peach. I think I actually repositioned it in post so that it was like perfectly down center. And the absolute cherry on top of this album cover here is, and some of you typeface nerds might know what's coming, this font right here is called Georgia, which is just so perfect for a song called Peachy Waves. That wasn't even like an intentional Easter egg. I was just selecting fonts and I was like, hey, that one looks pretty good. And I was like, huh, it's called Georgia. That's kind of meant to be, isn't it? She said, don't worry, baby, don't worry, baby, don't worry, baby, everything will turn out. Alrighty, next up is Don't Worry, Baby. This one was a cover of my brother's, and again, it was another very poppy song. And so I decided to, again, we brought out the orange backdrop and the very nice soft key light, and decided to get to shooting. This is the final product. I feel like it is both hilarious and interesting to look at, or at least thought-provoking to look at. And I feel like it fits the song very well. It has a very nice color palette with the red and the pink and the orange backdrop, and then just a slight blue to offset, and then of course the bubblegum pink border. I feel like was a very nice touch. It's kind of a meme at this point that anything I do for Kevin has to have a border on it. So this one probably has the most interesting story behind it, because this was another one where we had a very distinct idea and absolutely scrapped it because we shot it, edited it, and then went, oh my gosh, we cannot do this. So I'll explain. Me and my brother were sitting around and we were like, all right, what would be funny to do for a song called Don't Worry, Baby? And we both came to the agreement and conclusion that the funniest thing would be to make a very worrisome album cover. Him in some type of a dangerous situation, or just like, it was the ideas we thought of were insane in hindsight, but they were really funny at the time, and they're funny now, but oh my gosh. So I'm gonna show you this was draft 1 of Don't Worry, Baby. So yeah, we were like, yeah, you know what would be really funny? A photo where Kevin's literally being kidnapped. And so we tied him up and we threw him in the trunk and we put an apple in his mouth there. Did I? Oh yeah, I'm forgetting. I pulled his pockets inside out like he got mugged. Oh my gosh. It was so awkward shooting that cover because we were shooting it just in my parents' driveway. And so you could see a kid with a camera shooting a photo of a guy tied up with an apple in his mouth. That was so much fun. But definitely glad we did not end up using that one, because that one is just like too crazy. So one thing I want to mention quickly before we delve too deep into this is that I like to shoot in camera, cropped 1 by 1. Even though it's raw, technically it's actually not cropped. It's just like the preview is cropped. Yeah, but I like to shoot cropped in camera because I feel like it helps with my composition a lot. So anyway, so yeah, we were just like, let's put him in a trunk with an apple in his mouth, and yeah, we'll just see where it goes from there. We did a bunch of different photos. We did one outside the trunk. Anyway, so after that, we went back to the drawing board and we came up with the idea of we wanted something that was bright in its imagery and not so dark in its imagery like the other one, and just shoot some kind of like a really cartoony, like cartoon violence, that sort of thing. That's what we were after, was that sort of a look. So we had the idea of like, oh, like a classic shoot an apple off of someone's head sort of thing. But we didn't really know how to shoot it like from a literal standpoint of like, okay, if you were to draw that photo, what does it look like? Like, again, in all these album covers, the biggest thing is like, we're just scrapped for time and resources. Like, we can't be spending money on an album cover, and so we just use what we have on hand, whatever props and so like we didn't really have any arrows, and like, anyway, so we ended up not doing that. I had some throwing knives, and I had a big block of wood of which I throw the knives at, and I was like, let's do the cartoony like guy tied to a big piece of wood that spins and someone throws knives at them sort of a thing. That's what we were trying to go for. And I can't remember what prompted us, because this is the first couple photos. Here's just a regular lighting test. Here's the first couple photos. We of course brought back the apple, the same freaking apple from this shoot. And so we had the idea of like, oh, instead of shooting an apple off of someone's head, it's you're throwing a knife off at an apple off of someone's head sort of thing. So we're combining like a bunch of different little cartoony situations into one frame, which I thought was very nice. I feel like it came out very well. I'm realizing now we did a lot of stuff with fruit in this era, and it was always really old fruit that I had to edit to make look not old. Oh, yes, and another detail about Photoshop that you may have already noticed is that there's no bubble gum in this photo. And that's because poor Kevin, bless his heart, that's how I should phrase it. I couldn't get what I wanted out of him, and it was no fault of his own. I just did it myself. I just got in frame. We got pink bubble gum anyway, but it literally just looked white, and so I had to give it some color in post. But yeah, so again, all in all, feel very good about this one. Moving on. Alrighty, I Wish the World, my brother's most recent single. For this one, again, he sent me a demo of the track, and I said, all right, I got an idea. And so pretty much from the get-go, when I heard the song, I had the basic composition in my head, which was like, all right, it's got to be like blue and green color palette, and it's got to have like a nice 45-degree Dutch angle. It's just going to be a regular headshot portrait. I wanted to do like a classic Rembrandt key light sort of thing. While I was brainstorming the idea, I realized that what I was thinking of was like really similar to Bo Burnham's Welcome to the Internet. Specifically, it switches to this other angle right here, and he's looking down, he's kind of tilted over, and he's got like, it's a very maniacal image right there, which I liked. And so that was sort of my starting point, and it's what gave me the idea to do the whole star field in the background. And so right there, there's your final draft. Tools and props are always the hardest thing to find when you're shooting one of these, because you hate to spend money on a cover. And so I had this the Starfield light thing, and I just shone it up on the ceiling, and we realized pretty quickly that it's a very different one than what Bo Burnham had, and it's got a very like dull and big like spot to it. You get this very interesting geometry here where like it's like a constellation, like a literal constellation star field where everything's connected here. And so like I thought it looked really interesting. Again, this is one of those photos where we weren't entirely sure if we were gonna go with it, but again, pushing the black point way up. This one I actually took into a DaVinci Resolve and used their like halation and glow effects. But overall, I really like the way this color palette turned out, because the green and the blue, and then there's a lot of red in his hair. And over here, like on this side of the face, like you can see the Rembrandt light that I was talking about. On the shadowed side of his face, it's very red and very purple. Yeah, here's the unedited version. So you can see I really pushed a lot of things in a lot of different directions for this one. Thinking about it, this is probably one of the only album covers that I've done for my brother where I came up with a single idea, I shot it, he liked it, I edited it, and then it was done. So this is where we were starting. You can see I didn't quite do the Rembrandt that I was thinking of because I'm an idiot. So then eventually I got a little bit lower down here. I think I started to find the composition and the pose that I wanted. And then again, the lighting more. Yeah, there you go. There's your proper Rembrandt light right there. So yeah, then I just kept shooting this a bunch of different times. There's probably at least a couple hundred in here of the same idea. Then there we go. Then I started to get locked in. I think this is maybe the final version, but here you can see maybe a side-by-side comparison of this was with the halation and all the final touches, and then this was for all that. So it's actually really quite similar. I Wish the World, very good album cover, feel very good about it. And I feel like it's another very good piece to my photography portfolio. And thank you all for letting me just sit here and ramble on about some of the stuff that I've done. As you can see, a lot of projects don't turn out how you think they are going to initially. It's completely fine to go back to the drawing board and try something completely different. Yeah, thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. I don't know. I just was about to say I'll see you in the next video out of habit. Yeah, I don't know. See ya. Oh, hello. It's Josh from the present day here. I just wanted to stop in and say that this list has most recently become outdated because I did another album art for my brother. That would be the album art for Rick's new haircut, which I think fortunately there's not too much of a story behind that one. He basically just drove and then said, hey, I need another cover, and I said, okay, sure. It needs to be something goofy, and I was like, okay, I can do goofy. And then it's like, oh, let's do him playing basketball. And then I thought that was actually a really good one. I think we didn't go with it because it felt maybe even almost a little too cool, like the shot was just too hard. And then we were like, all right, let's get him on a bike. And then I got this really stupid video of him trying to get on a bike. You have to get on the top tube and then mount the seat. Kevin, I don't have all day. Come on. And then we shot the cover, and then I edited it. I tried to give it a combination of like of an old film look combined with like the vaporwave like 80s aesthetic at the same time because it's a Mac DeMarco cover. So anyway, that's just about it. See ya.